So in this video, we are going to discuss about financial management. Okay. So we are going to discuss about financial management. What are the financial management decisions that we'll discuss, and we'll also discuss what is financial planning, financial control, what are the financial objectives in financial management topic. We'll discuss about the topics profit maximization and wealth maximization, and also about total shareholder return and ESOP, okay, employee stock option plan. So these are the things that we are going to discuss in this video. So this is mostly introduction video to financial management as a subject. So we'll start from here. See, financial management is a very crucial kind of management for a company. So there are many companies who excel in terms of products, in terms of operations, but they do a very poor work in terms of managing the finance of the company. Because of that itself, the entire company might get even bankrupt. Okay, so financial management is very important in a company. So it doesn't matter how much really good the company is in terms of its product or operations or in customer care or anything. Financial management seems to be a very important part of a company. So as the definition tells you here, financial management can be defined as the management of finance of an organization in order to achieve the financial objectives of the company. So every company has a financial objective, an objective like increasing the share price, increasing the profit, okay, decreasing the debt equity ratio, like that. Every company has its own kind of goals. So financial management as a subject, as a concept, helps a company to achieve its financial objectives. The objective of a private sector organization is to maximize the shareholders' wealth. So, financial management decisions is another crucial topic here. So, there are three important decisions which have to be made in financial management. Okay, so one is investment decision, two is dividend decision, and three is financing decision. So, we'll start from investment decision. See, investing is a major decision here, because the investment decisions which are made under the financial management are actually quite large amounts of investment decisions we make. And these decisions, if we make it wrongly, it will affect the performance of the company financially. It will make the company to be in a much more badder situation. Okay, it will lead to a very poor situation. So the company should focus in terms of investment decision, in terms of purchasing a machinery. Should we purchase a new machine or not? Or should we construct a new factory, or should we buy a new factory? Okay, or should we buy an existing factory? How much of working capital should we set aside? Okay, should we expand the company in terms of a merger or an acquisition? Okay, so or should we create a company from scratch? So there are so many decisions here that a company has to make, right? If they make a poor decision in any of this, it will have a long term consequence. So any problem that you make here cannot be rectified so quickly, and all it will take a longer time, and it will hurt the company financially. It will hurt it. Okay, so that's about the investment decisions here. So there are many techniques to make a proper investment decision. For example, net present value, internal rate of return, or accounting rate of return, like that. We have many concepts. So we have to use those concepts and uh, understand how to make a proper investment decision. So the second one is a dividend decision. So dividends again become a crucial concept here. So dividends again become a very crucial concept here. So dividends is whenever a company makes a profit, so this profit has to be shared with its shareholders. Okay, it is not that mandatory that it has to share it. Okay, it is not mandatory or compulsory it has to share it. But a company which keeps on growing, okay, it doesn't need to share. A company which doesn't have much of growth opportunities, it will share the dividend with the shareholders. But if the company shares its dividend, okay, shares the money as dividend, so a part of the profit or the part of the cash is going out of the company here. Okay, so companies which have a profit, they can share, but that also they have to think and then only share the dividend. Okay, see, sometimes what happens is, in order to raise finance, okay, we need to raise finance for constructing a factory or something. If we raise debt finance, what happens is, it once we have issued debt finance, in the future we have to pay interest here. So because of paying the interest, okay, it would reduce the total amount of profit the company makes and also the dividend that can be paid. Okay, if the company is going to issue equity shares, what would happen is this would lead to more number of equity shares outstanding. Okay, so the company has to pay a higher dividend per share. Okay, dividend per share, at least even it's going to be same, the total amount of dividend paid would be higher. For example, if the company has 10 shares, okay, so the company has 10 shares earlier and the company paid dividend per share of 1 rupee. So the total dividend if you take, so the total dividend if you take, it would be 10 rupees. Okay, but if the company has issued additional equity shares to 15, okay, then if they are going to pay one dividend per share, then that would lead to 15 as a dividend. Total dividend has to be paid to 15. Or if the company feels that no, we will only pay total dividend of 10 even if the number of shares are 15, then what would happen is the 10 rupees has to be split for the 15 shares. So each shareholder we can give 0.66. So you got the idea. Either, okay, either we have to increase the total dividend, so the company will suffer, or if we are going to give the, if we are going to reduce the total dividend per share, then the shareholder will suffer. Okay, so someone has to suffer here. So without anyone suffering, the concept cannot work. Okay, the concept cannot work. So I'll put both these things. So 15, if we give 1 rupee, it comes to 15. So you have only two choice, either this or this. Okay, you have to have a choice, or better, either you have to increase the total dividend or you have to reduce the dividend per share. So dividend decision is not a separate decision from finance, it is a part of a financial management decision. So the next one is financing. Okay, the third part of the financial management decision is financing. So financing, if you take, it is a long-term capital that has to be raised, and we can raise the long-term capital in terms of a debt, equity and retained earnings. Okay, so we can raise the finance in any manner we want, but there are some problems here. Okay, the problem is if we issue too much of equity, it will reduce the ownership. For example, we have 100% ownership in a company. If you are going to issue some 20% of shares, then it means that we are losing our ownership. So our ownership only comes to 80%. Okay, so we lose our ownership. So or else if we are going to increase debt, okay, if you are going to increase debt, see, keep on increasing debt, what will happen is it will ensure that you have to pay a higher interest. Okay, so higher debt will lead to higher interest. Okay, and higher interest, we should have the ability at least to pay the interest. If we do not have that ability, it will lead us to a much greater problems. Okay, so that's about the financing decision here. So we'll move on to the financial planning concept here. So financial planning is, as a financial manager, they will try to find out what is the total amount of finance required in the short term, like within a year, medium term, like 1 to 3 years, long term, 3 to like 10 years. Okay, so a financial manager will try to find out whether the enough funds are available, okay, for the company in the short term, medium term, and the longer term. Okay, so short term funds are required for working capital purpose, short-term funds are required. So short-term requirements such as paying creditors, purchasing raw materials, paying employee salaries arise due to the difference between credit sales and the realization of debtors. Okay, so in short term we have to ensure that working capital is enough. What is working capital? Working capital refers to the amount of funds that we should always have in hand. Okay, so that whenever we have to pay salary, we have to pay tax, we have to pay electricity bill, we have to pay any corporation tax, whatever it is going to be due in the short term, okay, we should be able to pay it. So working capital is some kind of a reserve. Okay, short term reserve. So the financial manager has to find out how much of this short term reserve should be there, how much of working capital should be there for a company. Okay, because if we have too much of working capital, then the money is like sitting idly. If we don't have enough working capital, then someone asks for money. For example, we have to pay rent for the company, so we won't be able to pay rent for the company in that time in a proper time. So the next one is in the long term. So in the long term, the financial manager will help for things like purchasing of a new machine. Okay, he will think about which is the ideal machine to purchase. Okay, not technically, but he will think only from the financial angle. Construction of a factory, and from where we are going to raise this capital, and whether it's going to be in the form of debt or equity. Okay, so within debt or equity also there are like several types. Okay, within debt and equity also there are several types. So which type we are going to select? Okay, so that would be the concept here. The next concept is financial control. Okay, how are we going to control the company? Okay, financially. So financially we try to control the company by establishing objectives. That is, our profit for the year is this number. Okay, our profitability for the year is 25%. Our debit equity ratio should be 1:1. Okay, our current ratio should be 2:1. Like that we establish some ratios, some objectives, and we ask the entire company to work towards that. Okay, so this is done in collaboration with the CEO. So the CFO and CEO will set the financial control for the company. Okay, so thereafter what happens is, if the reality is changing, okay, if there's going to be a COVID situation, okay, currently we have a COVID situation. So in this situation we cannot have the old objectives. Okay, so earlier we might had a net profit target of 25%. Due to COVID we have to reduce it to something like 20% or 15%. Okay, depending upon the company and its circumstances. So one of the major control tools here is the ratio analysis. So that's about the financial control here. We'll move on to the financial objectives. So what are usually the financial objectives? So we see here, we also saw here that the company has objectives. So what are those objectives that a company can have? See, the objectives that a company can have is a profit maximization, increase the profit; wealth maximization, increase the wealth. But how do you measure it? That is the next problem. Gearing ratio, what is your long-term debt to equity? That can be an objective. Profit retention, how much of profit you are going to declare as dividend and how much of profit you are going to retain. Then operating profitability, what is going to be a target ROCE, gross profit, net profit, like that. Okay, then we move on to a detailed look at profit maximization. Okay, we look at in detail about profit maximization. Okay, so if you look here, see, the objective of any private sector company is to maximize profit. That is like so simple and very clear, right? Profit maximization is about increasing the profit of a company. Okay, profit maximization can be tracked through a number called as EPS. Okay, earnings per share. So see, some companies, what they do is they will try to increase the profit but also issue a lot of shares. Okay, that will dilute the EPS. So that's why rather than measuring only profit, okay, we have to measure the earnings per share. Okay, the profit and the number of shares we have to measure, so that we can easily find out that the company is not issuing a lot of shares to boost the profit. Okay, so ideally the concept is the company should increase its profit, decrease its shares. So overall the EPS will go up. Okay, the objective is acceptable when the owner and manager are the same person. Okay, see, when you are the owner and you are the manager of the company, then there's no problem at all, because you won't cheat your own company. But the problem arises when the owner is different and manager is different. So you are the owner, you appointed a CEO as a person to run your company. In that case, in that kind of a case, there is going to be some kind of a cheating which can happen, because the manager, the CEO will manipulate the numbers and he will give you a different set of profit. Okay, so see, but when the owner and manager are different persons, then the manager might act to increase his own self-interest than might be in contrast with the interest of the owner. Okay, so he will try to increase his benefits rather than increasing the owner's benefit. So profit can be manipulated. Thus, profit maximization is a flawed financial objective. So profit maximization is not such a great idea here. So what would be a better idea is, okay, when the owner and the manager are different people, is wealth maximization. Okay, see, wealth maximization is our objective is to maximize wealth, but the problem is, what is wealth? Okay, what is wealth in a company? So they have come to a conclusion that wealth maximization is about increasing the value of a company. Okay, the value of a company. So now the question is, what is value? Okay, what is value? See, value can be measured in different way. We can measure it as book value, the total amount of assets that your company has. Deduct the liabilities, you will get your book value. Or you can measure it through market capitalization. What is the value your company has in the market? You can find it out in that way. Or liquidation value, the value you realized by selling all the assets. Okay, assume the entire company has sold all its assets, how much of value you still have. So that's about the concept here. So there's one more valuation called as, not valuation, a mechanism that is called as total shareholder return. Okay, what is the price in 1 year's time? Okay, or what is the price in 2021 January? What has been the price in 2020 January? Okay, the difference between that both, plus the dividend that you earn. Okay, so currently the price is 120. Last year it was 100, so 20 rupees you have got from capital appreciation. Inter between dividend you have got 5 rupees, so 20 plus 5, 25 you got. The share price was 100 last year, so 25 by 100, okay, into 100 if you put, you will get 25%. Okay, so total shareholder return is a nice concept to measure the returns a shareholder from shareholders point of view. Okay, so now we look at the concept of ESOP. Okay, so employee stock option plan. So an employee stock option plan is a stock option granted to specified employees of a company. So ESOP offers the option holder the right to buy a certain amount of company shares at a predetermined price for a specific period. Assume that a manager is granted stock options and the option agreement allows the manager to purchase 500 shares of a company stock at an exercise price of 50 per share after 2 years. Okay, so what is this concept of ESOP? See, assume that you are a CEO of a company and there's a separate owner. So what happens is, you might do things which are not that good for the company or for the owner. Okay, so you will do things which are like much more beneficial for you rather than the owner. So what the owner will do is, he will try to give you an ESOP. So ESOP is where you are given a number of shares. Okay, you get the right to buy a number of shares at a fixed price. So you can buy a shares of 500 shares at a price of 50, but you are not going to buy it right now. Okay, you have the power to buy at a price of 50, and you have to buy it after a period of 2 years. Okay, so what you will do is, you will try to boost the share price higher. Okay, you will try to boost the share price higher. So you will do things which are like really good for the company. So whatever things that will increase the share price, you will try to do. So you will try to increase the sales of the company. You will try to attract new customers. You will try to you will try to have a better relationship with the customers. So you do things which are like really good for the company. Okay, that's what you will do. So because of doing this, okay, over a period of time, the share price can go to 70. Okay, it can go to 70. At 70 rupees, what you will do is, after 2 years, if it goes to 70 rupees, the company will now give you the right to exercise. So you will then exercise your right and you will buy the shares at $50. Even though the share is trading at 70, you can buy it at 50. Okay, because that is how the contract of ESOP works. Okay, so you can buy the shares at 50, and immediately, once that time period of 2 years is gone, is over, you can simply sell the shares at 70. So thereby you bought at 50 and you sold at 70. So $20 is what the profit you will make. Okay, so 500 shares into $20, that will give you a total gain of $10,000. Okay, so is it a good deal? The answer is, it's a really good deal, because you are now trying to work for the benefit of the company, right? You are trying to improve the share price, and the stock, the ESOP will become active only after a period of 2 years. So you have 2 years time to boost the share, okay, share price. So you have the time to do it. Also, you have the what to say, whatever actions that you do is also beneficial for the company here. So you also win, the company also wins. So the good things about ESOP are: acts as an incentive to work hard, helps in attracting and retaining talented people in the company, employees are clear about what they have to achieve, efforts are directed by employees towards the goal, helps in continuous improvement, employees act in the long term interest of the company. Okay, so all things are really good here. Okay, so it helps in hard working, it helps, it recognizes hard working people, it attracts talented people. Employees clearly know what they are going to get in the 2 years time or 3 years time. Employees know what is their goal and they will focus on that goal. They'll improve the company and everything is done for the benefit of the company here. So these are the pros of the ESOP. But what about the cons of this method? So sometimes what happens, people who follow, who are being like given an ESOP, they will try to increase the share price doing some kind of a manipulation. Okay, for example, giving, what to say, giving very, very positive news about the company, giving optimistic news about the company, even though the company is not going to perform anything of that sort. Just to increase the share price, they might give this kind of optimistic opinions. Okay, if ESOP given are tied to very long periods, then employees will not be motivated. See, ESOP should be tied for a 3 year period or a 4 year period. If you're going to tie it up for a very long period of time, then this ESOP is not of any use because people will get demotivated. Because in 5 years' time, who knows where the share price will be? So they'll become demotivated. Okay, there is no single metric to holistically assess the performance. Okay, see, we assume that the share price is a better kind of a metric, but share price is not such a great metric or anything. Okay, because on share price is there are like so many factors which are outside the control of an employee, which will move the share price. For example, the economy might do really well, or the industry might do really well, or due to some happening in externally, the share price can also get boosted up. Okay, so there are factors outside the control of employees that can influence a success or failure. So whether share price goes up or down is, there are so many factors which affect the share price. So only a part of it can be affected by employees or the by the CEO. Okay, so how can we say that just because a share price has collapsed due to what to say, COVID, can we say that the employees or the staff or the CEO has not done a good job? See, that becomes a very poor kind of a mechanism. So share prices are, ESOP is a nice mechanism, but ESOP alone will not be a very great mechanism. Okay, it might encourage employees to manipulate the metrics related to performance. So they might try to manipulate the metrics. So even that can be possible. Okay, so